There is only one power in the universe. Christianity would have us believe that there is this cosmic duking it out between good and evil and God and Satan and who's gonna win. But thankfully, the one power is existence itself. Everything else that you see is an illusion. Today I'm gonna share with you 5 powerful truths that will change the way you view yourself and God. In Isaiah 45, verse 5 and 7, God says, "I am the Lord, and there is no other. There is no God besides me. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create calamity. I, the Lord, do all these things." God is not one of the powers. He is the only power. All evil we see is only a misuse of this power. Everything that exists emanates from him in the same way that a ray of light emanates from the sun. In Exodus 3, verse 14, Moses asks God, "What is your name?" And God tells him, "I am who I am. Tell them that I am has sent me." I am isn't just the name of a being. It's not God saying, "My name is I am." He is telling us his essence. His essence is his nature. It is the eternally self-existent one. If you exist, then you have part of his nature too. Everything that exists has the I am power in it. That's why we feel good when we go out in creation, when we feel sunlight shine on us, because that is also part of the I am power. The I am is the source of all life, its existence, its being, its presence. That same essence flows through you too, because you exist. And this entire life is about how we choose to use this power for good or for evil. This life is about choosing. In Acts 17, verse 28, we hear that in him we live and move and have our being. We don't just believe in God, we exist inside of him. This is why Jesus said, "I am in the Father, and the Father is in me." But Jesus also said that my Father is greater than me. The sun is greater than a ray of light, but the ray of light is still part of the sun's emanation. In this very moment, you are breathing the breath of I am. Yahweh is breath. It is existence. And that means that the thoughts that you think, in the words that you speak, especially the I am statements that you believe, carry tremendous power. Now that leads us to a very important question. At this point, you might be thinking, hold up, Mary, what about evil? What about Satan? What about suffering? Because those exist too. How do we reconcile this? Well, that leads us to the second point, that evil is a shadow. It is an illusion. Evil isn't another power. It is a perversion of the I am, the existing power. It is a perversion of the life that is given you. It is a shade that blocks out the sunlight and creates darkness. This is the duality that we must experience in order to choose the way of love. If we can't see and feel the pain and the contrast of what going against the law of love feels like, then we don't know why we need to choose it. Evil has no creative force of its own. It only can twist what already exists. In the same way that a mirror reflects back at you the reality, but it isn't the reality. The world that we see is a mirror of our internal state. It shows us where we're in alignment with the law of love and where we get off track. If you go to a fun house and look in a fun house mirror that's all woogly and wavy, you'll see a distortion of yourself. You'll see a distortion of reality. That is what evil does. It distorts, it blocks out the reality and causes us to see through a different lens. And when we make decisions based off of that distortion, based off of the evil, we create death and suffering. A shadow isn't really real in and of itself. It's just the absence of light. Evil is the same thing. It's a lack of love. So evil isn't a power, it's a misuse of power. It's a misuse of the I am, the existing power. All power originates from God. He is the source of every living thing. Satan is not a second God, as much as mainstream Christianity would have you believe. He is someone who twists the truth. It's a power that twists the truth into a lie. A lie is just something that blocks out or distorts the truth. A lie can't exist without the truth. Anything that isn't self-existent isn't ultimately real at all. It's real in that we see it right now, but it will pass away. And everything that God is will never pass away. So when we say there's only one power, we're not denying the reality of evil. We're revealing the cause. If we shine the light on the shadow, it disappears. It didn't actually exist at all. This is the power of I am. When we shine the light at the darkness, it goes away. Things are only powerful in the darkness when you can't see what they really are. A dream only holds power over you until you wake up and realize it wasn't real at all. There is no second power. Evil comes when beings created with the I am power forget that he's their source. They forget that that's all the power they actually have, and they start blocking it out and believe that they're separate. But no one can actually be separate from God or run away. The only separation is in our mind. We cut ourselves off. We like to pretend, because we can't see God, that he's not there. That's what evil is. That's what suffering is. That's what the lie does. You cannot be separate from God, because separation is all in your mind. All evil is caused in our minds, and then the results of it, the wages of sin, manifest in this world as suffering, as evil, as death. A lack of love, aka evil, is the cause of all suffering. Suffering and evil are used by God to teach us what straying from the one law, the one power, love, does to us, and does to our planet, and does to everyone we know in all life. When we stray from the law of love, things start becoming chaotic, because that's the way of death. Even from the beginning, when Cain murdered Abel, it says in the Bible that Abel's blood cries out from the ground. The earth produces suffering and evil of its own accord with the law of love. The law of I am, the I am power, produces things to balance out the scales. The next thing we need to realize is that you were made to wield this sword, this I am power, consciously. Genesis 1 verse 27 says that we were created in God's image. You were made to be like the Creator. You were made in His image. You were made to be a mini creator. Right now, we have a little taste of this power because God wanted us to be able to choose to use it for good or for evil. The whole purpose of this life is to grow in that power, to use it for the good. And thank God He only gave us a little bit of this power at a time, because we need to learn how to use it properly. Just like a sword can be used for good and evil, or electricity can be used for good or evil, the I am power is the same way. God has gifted us a small portion. We need to embrace our true identity, which is the I am living in us, in our hearts and our minds, and bring the heart and mind into cohesion and coherence with the law of love. That is our purpose in this life. In the Old Testament, the I am presence existed in the temple. We are the temple, and God's presence should rest there. That's what Pentecost is all about, God's presence growing inside of us. But most people use the I am power really carelessly. It's like a 2-year-old with a giant sword. Watch out. We use it carelessly when we say things like this: I am so broken, anxious, not enough. Every one of these statements is wielding the I am power, but it's not using it correctly. The carnal human mind is broken. It is anxious. It is not enough. This is all true of the carnal mind, but we are called to be partakers of God's nature, to actively choose God's mind every second of the day. Your deepest nature is I am. It's existence. If we choose to deny this, we block out the very source that's giving us life. You're not the role or the mask that you are wearing. You are not this actor. Shakespeare said, all the world is a stage. That means we're all playing a part. We're all playing this role in a divine play. And Jesus called the Pharisees hypocrites. That meant actors. They were playing a role. They didn't realize that they can take off the mask, and that's not who they actually are. They're just playing a part. We're all playing a part, and we're supposed to be God's hands and feet in this world, to bring heaven to earth. The religious ego thinks it's righteous, but it's still the ego. The more spiritual you get, the more you go down this path of becoming closer with God, the more sneaky the carnal mind can be. This is why Jesus said that tax collectors and harlots will enter the kingdom of God before somebody who thinks they're so righteous and so wise, because that person's ego, the religious ego, the spiritual ego, is the most sinister of all and the hardest to see. So we must be identified with God's true nature, with Christ's mind. This is what it means to put on Christ, to abide in his love. And when you do this, you are aligning yourself with the truth, not the lie. The truth is Christ. Christ's mind, the I am power. And identifying with him makes your mind like his. What does God say you are? What does he say he is? He says, I am. I am a child of God. I am whole. I am light. I am truth. I am peace. I am mercy. I am is the power. And you need to start identifying and resonating with the true nature of I am. The more you rest in the I am, the more you meditate on his presence and his love, the more you bring yourself in alignment with the truth of reality instead of the distortion. This is why Jesus says to seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all of these things will be added to you. The power of the I am is the treasure in heaven. It's the portion that was given to each being to grow and to steward. This is what the parable of the talents was talking about. It's talking about the I am presence inside of each one of us, the gift, the portion that each one of us was given to grow and to steward. We can either hide it in the ground and be identified with this ego, this carnal mind, the ground, or we can identify with the I am presence. We can use the gift, the I am power that we've been given, and steward it and grow it into something even bigger. Because the more you focus on the I am, the more the I am, God, the self-existent one, grows in your life. And the more aligned you become with his will and not your own, the more your own will becomes his will. And then he can truly give you the desires of your heart, because your heart's desires, the deep desires of your true spiritual heart, are already aligned with God's desires. The I am is the currency of life. It's the power. It's the treasure. The fourth thing we need to realize to wield this power correctly is that it must be channeled. You must be a conduit for it, for life or death. God wants free will. He doesn't want robots. That's why he put 2 trees in the garden, so you could choose. And even this day, this moment, you are choosing. He wants a family that willingly chose the good. Nobody wants a kid that obeys just because their parents forced them to. You want them to obey because it's good for them, because it's actually better for their life. Deuteronomy 30 verse 19 says, I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursing. Therefore, choose life God has given you the power, but he's also given you the free will to choose. And when we choose to believe in the negative or the lie or the distortion, we choose death. The whole point of this life is to be a testing ground, a refining fire where you choose how you're going to use God's power. When we choose to believe the negative, to believe the lie or the distortion, we choose death. You don't get to opt out of using the I am power. You are already using this power all day, every day, even without knowing it. And you get to decide, are you using it for the spirit or for the flesh? You get to choose if you feed the victim mode or if you are fed by the Creator. Choosing life is not just this one-time salvation prayer. It's a moment-to-moment commitment to how you think, how you speak, how you feel, how and where you are living from. And that leads us into the fifth point, the final, most important point. You create your best life by abiding in the I am. Abiding in love. This is the heart of it all. There's a lot of fancy techniques you can use, but the best and simplest is this. Dwelling in Zion. Zion is where God's presence is, the secret place. This is where he hides you. This is spending time with the I am. You can do this lying down. You can do it sitting up. You can do it walking. And the more you do it, the more you practice it, because it is a practice, the better you will get at using it everywhere around your worst triggers. Today is a great time to start practicing it. 20 years ago would have been the best time, but the second best time is right now. And anytime you realize you're not in love, you're not in I am, when you're playing the role of the ego instead of abiding in presence, you just shift your focus back over to love. It's as simple as that. You don't become like the I am by forcing or striving. You can only become like him by surrendering to the only power that really exists. And that's the I am power. This is why Jesus said that he gives rest for your souls. This is why he said his burden is easy and light. Rest in the I am presence. Always draw your attention back to love. So the I am is not a destination to reach. It's a practice that you choose every single moment. This is where life or death, heaven or hell, is happening. In those small daily choices of where you place your identity and your power. The more you dwell in the I am, the power, the truth, the light, the more clearly and the more powerfully that presence flows through you. The more blockages get cleared out of your system and the easier it is to remain in God's love. When we get triggered, it's this I am presence, this love that can pull us back out. You don't need to feel guilty. You just need to shift over to a new way of being. That's what true repentance is. Moment by moment, changing your thoughts into God's thoughts, your ways into his ways, your mind into his mind. And this is how you grow your treasures in heaven, by becoming a vessel for the presence of the I am. This power lives inside of you if you don't cut yourself off and believe you're separate from it. God is everywhere. You can't actually be separate, but you can pretend for a while that you are. Use the I am power, the power of love, and let your life testify to this one power, to the I am, the one who is eternally existent. He dwells in you. You just gotta realize it and start living by that. And that's what it means to give God all glory and let him do the works. This is the way. This is what it means to live sovereign. God is sovereign, and you can choose to live sovereign. If this episode did something for you, I'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment. Let me know what your biggest takeaway is, and share your thoughts. Your insight might just be the exact encouragement that someone needs. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and I will see you next time. Keep living sovereign. Deviating from his law of love naturally produces suffering, in the same way that if you jump off of a 10-story building, the law of gravity will break you. It's not because the law is mad at you. Gravity isn't mad at you. We make God in our image when we do this.